Come on. What is up, everyone? We are back with the last leg of the day, episode 4, bottle of Coke number 4, and guest number 4. We are with Bobby Buffet. How are you doing tonight, man?
Mr. Top Out, Marissa G. It's a pleasure to be here. I love doing shows, but I'm especially excited to do this one here. It's been a long time coming, I feel. We got to wrap it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right on in. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go before the buffet times. What did you think your life was going to look like before wrestling entered the picture?
um, I don't know. I wanted to be a wrestler as long as I can remember. It was like the first thing that really stuck with me. I got to watching I grew up during the ruthless aggression era, so it was always I was scared of things when I was younger, and then seeing Rey Mysterio, his little self, getting dogged on every week by like the Great Khali and Mark Henry and big guys like that. He just wasn't scared. He kept fighting. That kind of was the thing that like made me like, maybe I can one day be like unafraid too. You know what I mean? Um, but as my interest grown over the years, like I played sports. I played semi-pro football. um, I did music, but nothing really kind of create satisfied that that hunger. No pun intended. Like wrestling, you know.
So, were you somebody who always kind of needed a goal to chase?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like being stagnant or kind of just coasting through it doesn't work for me. I'm very much a person who likes to plan for the biggest thing possible and then kind of go from there. Either attack it slowly, goal by goal, or maybe I'll fail a little bit and redivert. But yeah, always I shoot for the moon.
Of course. So, what was the first thing about wrestling that hooked you?
Um, I would say besides that aspect, like Rey Mysterio, people like him being larger than life. I would say the entertainment aspect as well. People like Booker T. Back then, he was very, very funny. People like DX. Everybody at school, the whole X thing, suck it, this, that, third. That all was like super entertaining to me. It kind of hooked me more than movies would. I mean, maybe because not only were there the storylines, the drama that you had to deal with, but it was also the athletic aspect as well. I thought that was really cool.
So,
And
what was.
matches.
Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say in matches they have that same storytelling aspect as well. Like you can find a story in their matches too. But,
Yes. So, now I lost my spot. Oh, there we go. So, what would you say the biggest obstacle was between wanting to wrestle and actually doing it?
oh, that's easy. Um, First finding a good school close to you. That's I mean, and I have it lucky compared to some people across the country. When I first started looking at places to train. It was long before I even graduated high school. To the point where I don't even think Wrestle Pro was around, because I grew up in Plainfield. This is North Jersey, and Wrestle Pro, now known as CAP, New Jersey, is literally like 15 to 25 minutes away from where I grew up. But I didn't know that at the time. The only school I knew of was Monster Factory, which is a great school. But it was 2 hours away. So when I was 19 and decided, oh, I want to start training, you know, and my old hoopty going 2 hours back and forth was not working. That was probably the biggest obstacle. And then it's still an obstacle to this day, all the training and travel that you have to do with limited resources.
So, was there a moment when the dream finally started to become a plan to step into the ring?
For sure. For sure. I feel like after after a while, um, you get to learn to network with people. That's one of my first tag team partners. Shout out to him, Jimmy the Jester. Rest in peace, his soul. We were kind of the two farthest people from the factory. He lived in central New Jersey and I lived in north. So it was like I'd find a way to him and then we go together. And that was kind of how uh we made it work the first 2 years maybe of me training, which enveloped into me getting on shows and then, starting to make my name. But that networking aspect is something that helped. And then also just kind of getting life in order. I had to grow up. Um, 19 is still super young, I'm still figuring stuff out. Kind of learning how to prioritize certain things. Getting getting plans to make, making travel work for you and all that stuff, it helped a bunch.
So, what did wrestling reveal about you at that time that you hadn't known about yourself yet?
Um, hmm. I would say at that time, maybe the thing that I had to learn pretty quick was that I wasn't as confident as I thought I was. That false confidence aspect is super, super exposable in wrestling. You can fake it till you make it outside. You can fake it till you make it in other sports like football, wrestling, like the amateur wrestling I did. You can fake it till you make it in all these types of things, but when it's time to cut a promo in front of 100 people that don't know you, never seen you before, or when it's time, when like literally you're the focus of everything. I think it's to that point, like football, there's 21 other guys on the field at any one given time. Anything else, like there's multiple people you could look at, but when you're in a wrestling ring, it's you and another person. So that spotlight is like directly on you. I think, yeah, false confidence got to be the thing that I learned quickly.
So, let's get a little more into the buffet and what the buffet has to offer. So,
Mm.
where did the idea for Bobby Buffet first come into play?
This is such a interesting story that I love to tell. Um, so when I first started training, I was literally coming right from playing semi-pro football. So I was the type of person that would come to training with all these like football accessories. So, like I had the tied headband, I had the arm sleeves, all that type of stuff. And at that time, it was 2018. This same time Bobby Lashley was wearing all that stuff. So my coach was making fun of me. Just we were running, we were jogging and stuff. He was like, "Oh, you have the headband on. You think you're Bobby Lashley? More like Bobby Buffet." And so we're laughing at it. And then he was like, "But you know what? That actually has a ring to it. Like if you wanted to take that and try, see where it goes, like it could be something cool." And at that point, I'm like, anything to be in the ring. Hell yeah, I'll be Bobby Buffet, whatever you want me to be. Um, and it kind of took off like a rocket from there. I was still trying to figure out what my character was going to be. I had no idea what my name was going to be. And honestly, I don't think I would have been able to come up with anything better than that. So, Bobby Buffet sticks.
So, what made you realize that food could become such a unique part of your presentation?
It took a while. This is something that low key I still kind of struggle with in the broad sense of wrestling because at first for like like I want to say kind of like a majority of my in-ring career, I had the name Bobby Buffet, but I really didn't do anything with food. I always kind of at that time thought of it more figuratively than literally. In the sense that, like I'm always hungry for the next challenge, always hungry for the next obstacle. But as I start to travel more, and kind of start to put my own little spin on things, I kind of, I want to say amp up my character. I don't want to say like lower myself, but I kind of amped up my character to, how do I put this? To challenge myself to like try other avenues. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no secret. I'm a big guy. Like I like food. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people can relate to that. Not just necessarily being big, but the food brings certain emotions out of you. You know what I'm saying? Imagine having the smell of like your mom's favorite cooking in the kitchen on like a Saturday morning, something like that. Those type of things bring emotion out of people, and that's the way I kind of look at food still. If
I
I
know
can.
my mom is up in here, but she's not gonna like that I say this, but I can't say that her cooking like gave me any of those memories. I mean, to be fair, my dad did most of the cooking.
Your dad was a cooker? Oh
My dad
man.
did most of the cooking, but now I cook for myself. I mean, that's my job. I cook, but I hate it.
It's a lot of work, but I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I became Bobby Buffet, once I started to really get comfortable in this type of avenue, kind of playing food as a part of it, I've had to learn how to cook too, and I don't know how I feel about it. I like Mama Buffet making stuff for me all the time.
So, when people hear top of the food chain, what are they supposed to understand about you?
I think they're supposed to understand that it don't get no better than this. Like, there's people who eat greens, there's people who eat meat, there's people who eat supplements, whatever. And all those things have their different advantages. But I feel like I'm the best of all worlds. And this is another thing I'm trying to get people to understand lately is that I can really do it all. I'm a big guy, but I don't necessarily wrestle like the traditional big guy. Like I'm strong, sure, but I could fly a little bit. I can chain wrestle. I'm technical with it. And I like to put all those pieces together to just make myself the best that I could be. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that means to me. I don't think there's nobody who really can put all of those pieces together the way I can. And I just think I'm the best of the best.
And what part of your personality, your genuine personality outside of Bobby Buffet, accidentally became a part of your gimmick?
Hmm. I would say the big smile that you always see, whether I'm coming out as a baby face or even sometimes as a heel, I'm just really genuinely having fun out there. Living a dream that I've had since I was 6. Um, that's probably the biggest thing. But honestly, everything about Bobby Buffet, I would say, is at this point an extension of me. I don't really have to try too hard to either make a promo, or I don't have to try too hard to kind of understand what my purpose is when it comes to either a match or, specific angle. It kind of all just makes sense to me. I put myself in the shoes of Bobby Buffet for pretty much every scenario.
So, in your time at the Monster Factory, what did that teach you that no seminar or YouTube video ever could?
I would say, for one, how. Ooh, that's a good question. That's a question I've never gotten before. And I used to do a lot of podcasts. One thing specifically, that I'll say is we at one point got an Apple TV documentary, you know, and I got to be the star of that kind of while I was thrust into the spotlight that I was not ready for. I would say that the Monster Factory, the biggest lesson that I've learned there is kind of how to navigate that spotlight, um, under pressure, under scrutiny, you know what I'm saying, under everybody's watchful eye, because again, not only am I getting to be the star of this documentary, I was the heavyweight champion at the time. So like there were a lot of people who wanted that spot. There were some envious, some happy for me, you know. Um, and it was always kind of, I had a feeling of a target on my back, not necessarily in a bad way, but in a way that I had to learn and develop not only as a wrestler, but as a person, how to always be a leader, how to set a good example, and how to be like a model or like an exemplary model of how to conduct yourself, whether it's business, whether it's networking outside, whether it's how you carry yourself on social media, um, how you eat. You know, I've even being Bobby Buffet, there's been times where, you know, I'll cut. It's not fun, but I'll cut, you know, try to work on my body to make it the best version of me that I can be, that type of deal. And I don't think I ever would have learned that or picked that up without having that experience at the factory.
So, what was the hardest adjustment for you once you got into that environment?
Mm, sacrificing things. I was still young. Um, you know, everybody likes to have their outside life. And kind of being okay with sacrificing things, I would say. A lot, even to this day, you know, people who aren't in the business will never really understand the extent to where you have to carry yourself just different if you want to be anything successful. Like there's times where I know sounds cliche to a lot of people, but like, you know, I've missed so many of my friends and family's birthdays. I've missed funerals. I've missed so much important events um, for the sake of wrestling, you know. And you know, there's certain things that my friends like know me for. I will never be able to do. You know, I used to be the party animal when I was in high school. That's just not me anymore. All those type of things had to change because I wanted to be successful in pro wrestling. That type of deal is really hard to adjust to, but I think that in the long run it'll be worth it.
So, what da, 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 da. What lesson from Monster Factory still shows up in your matches today?
Mm. I would say, phew, especially now, is make people believe. You know, even though I say I can go with the best of them, you'll never see necessarily a Bobby Buffet match look super choreographed. Even though I could be technically sound, you'll never see me really have a match where people leave quiet or unsatisfied. I think, um, because I go into every match thinking about how I can make the little kid in me believe what's going on, if that makes sense. Um, yes, we all know wrestling has, you know, a theatrical aspect to it. We all know it has its kayfabe aspect to it. But there was a time where some people didn't know that. And for the longest time, I didn't know that. I was beefing with my grandma when she told me that it wasn't 100% real for like the longest time. So like, um, just having that little time to get people to invest in what we're doing and especially risking your body for it, I think is pivotal to doing it well.
So, as you had mentioned, you were the heavyweight champion at Monster Factory.
Hmm.
What did being champion teach you about responsibility?
So much. um it changed everything about the way I move. Good thing is I had a lot of good people in my corner supporting me, whether it be from colleagues at the factory, people like Goldie, people like LSG, people like Travis Jacobs. I could go on and on literally, but they who've had championships before me, they you know, they kind of set a standard for how to conduct yourself, how to move around, how to make business good business, and but still, even though, you know, even though they've left good examples, there's things that you have to figure out on your own. I think being put in that fire was really like sink or swim for me, and there's a lot of lessons I had to find out either the easy way or the hard way. But overall, never let one thing define you. Um, will help with building responsibility, and a lot of that I've picked up outside of wrestling as well, like just being a good human, trying to pay it forward, always putting your best foot forward. And over time, that false confidence that I had in the beginning started to grow into real confidence that showed, I think, while I was championing, even nowadays.
So did carrying that championship change how you viewed yourself?
Absolutely. Um, it's funny when I first started training. You know the jail like cliche when you're like you go in and you walk in and you punch the baddest person in the face so that no one messes with you. That was kind of how I treated training at the factory when I first came. I wanted to be around all the people who were holding belts, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna have that. And they're looking at me like, go ahead, kid, like, get out my face. Like, what I'm saying, I'm young. I don't know better. I don't know how to really navigate throughout the business. But for me, it was validation that everything that I sacrificed to that point, everything that I've worked so hard for, was worth it. So yeah, I started to view myself different, but I didn't let it, make me into a jerk or anything. I still, while I was heavyweight champion, I still think I was a very positive influence on a lot of people. And I still always look out for everyone below me because I don't really view them necessarily as below me. Um, just because I hold a strap doesn't make me better or worse than anybody in the locker room because at the end of the day, I feel like I was lucky to be put in that position, you know?
And what is something about being a champion that fans never really think about?
Mm. I wonder, actually, let me see. I would say the biggest thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is just what it takes to hold on to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing for people to view you as so good, you can be the banner of anything. But I don't think a lot of people truly understand the depths to what you have to go to really carry the name, the weight of a brand or of a group of people for an extended period of time, And I've been fortunate to do that at a bunch of places. So, like, it's just kind of more for me, I think the character development, and I'm not talking about like Bobby Buffet, I'm talking about of Hurley Jones, like the character development that's necessary, the constant self-reflection, the constant search for improvement. Those are things that a lot of people don't understand, and maybe that's why a lot of people never really get to enjoy those type of luxuries in life, unfortunately.
All right. So, not to keep revolving back to Monster Factory, but as you had previously mentioned, you were featured in the Monster Factory documentary. But what was your initial reaction when you found out that you were going to be featured in this documentary?
Um, By the way, we can talk about it a lot, even though it's not a I don't want to say not a major part, not even though it's not the only part of my career. Monster Factory was definitely a major part of everything that has to do with me being in wrestling. So I don't mind answering a bunch of questions about it.
We got so
Um,
much more to go through anyway, but we're building a story here.
Yeah. Um being selected as one of the five was super super surreal to me. I had no idea I was going to be selected. We were doing like these little pre-tapes beforehand and they were interviewing everyone. And there's like at that time maybe 50 kids, maybe even more that trained at the Monster Factory. And at that point, I had at least a little bit of self awareness. I knew I was a good wrestler. I knew the fans loved me, this, that, the third. But I didn't think I was the best wrestler in the building. There's still a lot of people who I would say, like, definitely deserve to be in it, could have been in it, should have been in it, would have been. But my story, I feel like, is just as important as anyone else's. And being able to be selected, I was like, man, this is awesome. I was thinking it was, finna be a life changer, which it was. Which it was.
So, what surprised you the most about seeing your story on screen?
Um, for that, I would say, not in a bad way, but I would say how kind of reserved still I was. Um, there are so many things that after the fact I was reflecting and I just kind of wish I was a little more open about. There's people, some of my co-stars, like Lucas Twitch DeSangro, for example. He talked openly about his struggles with being in, he has Tourette's. He's one of the first and only wrestlers who, like, been open and about that. He suffers from anxiety, depression, all these different things. Same deal with David Goldie. He was struggling with depression. I mean, struggling with anxiety. And, those stories, they're reaching out to people who have those same struggles. And, there's a lot of people who relate to that. But I didn't really get as vulnerable as I could have, for the sake of, just kind of keeping up, not necessarily the false confidence narrative, but kind of keeping a mask over. I don't want to be too vulnerable as a champion, be too vulnerable in general. But I wish I would have, because I would have been able to relate to more people the same way that other people related to me, the same way that people made me inspired to do things. I wish I could have related to more people and inspired them to do other stuff.
So, what is something that people assumed after watching that documentary, but it wasn't necessarily true?
That we made a lot of money. um, no, I would say either that, or I feel like a lot of people assume that wrestling, maybe even at the Monster Factory, was all positive. And I'm not saying that to say that Monster Factory was negative, but just in the general sense of professional wrestling, is very, very hard. You get to see a little bit of stuff like that, but um, I don't think no documentary can truly grasp the individual struggles people have with pro wrestling, and just how much of a grind it really is if you really want to be successful. Like, it's totally different. It's like a hobby to you. It's totally different. If this is just one of those things you're doing in the moment. But if you truly, truly want to make a career,
Oh no, I think we lost him, but that's okay.
100%,
Oh,
it is definitely a grind. Peace about.
Bobby, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but you are going in and out, and we can barely hear you. I don't know if you're on your phone and if you have it plugged in or not, but it could mean that your phone's overheating. And if that's the case, you can always turn your camera off. We are going to give that a minute, but with that being said, technical difficulties, we will be back shortly. There
Can
we
you hear me?
go.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, a little better.
Yeah. Did your phone overheat? Ooh, I can't hear you again.
It is a little warm, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine.
Maybe try
Can you hear
turning
me
your
again?
camera off for a
Let
little
me
bit. That might
try.
help.
Okay,
We all
let's
know
try
what you look
that.
like. We know you're here. That might help a little bit. All
Hmm.
right.
Let's try that.
So where
All
did we
right.
leave off? So something that people assumed watching the documentary that wasn't necessarily true.
Yes. I was saying that I think I joked about people thinking we made a lot of money, but I think one of the biggest things was just how much of a grind pro wrestling is. Because Monster Factory, the documentary, put everything in a positive light. And I'm not saying that the Monster Factory was negative in any way, but I'm saying just pursuing pro wrestling to the extent that I am, at least. You know, some people do it as a hobby, some people do it as just this thing they're coasting for, whatever. But like I said, I'm a shoot for the moon type of guy. So if you're trying to pursue it to the level I am, there are a lot of peaks and valleys. I think that's a big misconception that the factory kind of portrayed being in a
So
documentary.
yeah, no, definitely. But looking back now, what are you most grateful for that opportunity?
Just the opportunity itself to put myself out there. If I could run it back, would I be more vulnerable? Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's something I can look back on and forever be proud that I was able to even be in that position. I got nominated for an Emmy and I kind of dragged that with me. I would have never thought that'd be something I could say. You know, I'm forever on Apple TV. I'm forever on Amazon Prime. I think there's some really cool things that I never thought. Just I'm just a random kid from the streets. I never thought that that would be a thing. You know.
So, getting into trusting the process of becoming a wrestler, what is something that wrestling forced you to learn about becoming patient?
Um, that's something I'm still working on, to be honest. Um, but I've seen it. I've seen it in real time. Again, my tag team partner, God rest his soul, Jimmy the Jester. He was wrestling for 10 years. Never won a championship, but he worked so hard. There's people who I've won the big belts before, and they definitely deserve them. I don't want to say more or less than me, but it's just one of those things where timing has to be right. Timing and opportunity are the two things that mix to make those moments in wrestling that are worth all the struggle. Um, so kind of staying ready is a big thing I had to learn how to do. Just in case, regardless, because there'd be times where sometimes you grind a little extra hard because you got an opportunity coming up, but sometimes you don't know when it's gonna happen. Sometimes, like for example, winning that belt, I wasn't even supposed to win it. I was the runner up in a battle royal, and the winner was supposed to face Steve Macklin, and then the winner got a concussion. And so I just found out I was going to be the winner of the belt eventually. Things like that, just staying ready. That's probably the biggest thing.
So, how do you keep showing up when progress isn't always obvious?
Hmm. Just remembering what the overall goal is and what the alternative could be. I mean, still to this day, I dip my toe in a lot of different avenues, and maybe that's just to keep myself afloat, because again, wrestling is not one of those things where you can wrestle and then just pay your bills off. But Um, you know, it's it's one of those things where the alternative, I don't know what it would be. If I wasn't chasing the dream of being a WWE superstar, I don't know what I would be doing for real. You know, I mean, it could be anything else, but I don't think I'd like it as much.
Definitely. So, have you ever had a moment where you felt stuck between where you were and where you wanted to be in your wrestling career?
Yeah, pretty much every day. To the extent, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I just, you know, I have big goals. I see a lot of my colleagues doing big things on their respective programs. I can shout out a list of names, people like Sloan Jacobs, people like Alec Price, people like Jordan Oliver. I've shared locker rooms with all these people. I could keep going too. That's the thing. Um, and I feel like I could be right there with them, and I'm enjoying the process. Don't get me wrong. Learning, getting better each day, doing these different shows, traveling the world is still really, really cool to do. And 6 year old me would be so hype to know that this was what I do for what I do with myself at 26, 27. But yeah, it's still I have big dreams, and I want to be there, and I'm gonna keep grinding till I get there. That's just it. That's all.
So, what is a lesson that the grind has taught you that success couldn't?
Ooh, um, just perseverance. I mean, it's easy when everything is going right. It's easy to work hard. It's easy to eat right. It's easy to be a good person because you're more positive when things are going right. I feel like overall. But when things aren't going so well, when things feel like they're falling apart, I feel like still having that positive outlook about what the future could be um is like all the difference it makes, and not only making your life a little more positive but getting you towards that positive because you'd have less negative traits about yourself.
Of course. And what does the future look like for you? What are you still trying to chase?
Oh, I want to be a WWE Hall of Famer, multi-time WWE World Champion. I want to be a guy that holds weight in convos like people like Roman Reigns, people like John Cena, people like The Rock. And no, I don't look like any of those guys. But I do believe I have a larger than life charisma that definitely rivals all of those guys. When I walk into a room, I feel like everyone knows that I'm finna shake it, you know, shake it up. So. I want to be in those conversations, one of the greatest of all time.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about wrestling, but I always think the most interesting part is finding out who someone is when they leave the venue and go home for the night. So, what is something that consumes most of your attention outside of wrestling right now?
Mm. Most of my attention, really, if it's not wrestling, it's school. um, I am pursuing a degree right now in computer design. I've always been a big techie. Like I love video games. I love the newest electronics. I've always like, new iPhone come out, new Apple Watch come out, new anything come out, I want it. But one game in particular that has a stranglehold on me that I think a lot of people will be shocked to know is League of Legends. I love
Okay.
League of Legends. Hmm.
So, what is something that you've gotten really good at that has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling?
Something I've got really good at. I think talking to people. Maybe in a sense, yes, it could have something to do with wrestling. But before this, my situated knowledge was just so limited. I wasn't an outgoing person. I wouldn't say necessarily anxious, but I would never initiate conversation with people. I wouldn't go the extra mile to try and find out about people at all, especially in public spaces, let alone, little private ones. But wrestling has introduced me to so many different people who kind of still have similar values, similar interests, and kind of just, I think humans in general just we're all kind of one, no matter how you spin it, black, white, different ethnicities, different genders. It really doesn't matter. I think as a whole, we all kind of are chasing the same feelings in life, so that type of deal. Getting to know people, getting to talk to people, and just that literally was never me. I think that's an about face on who I was before I started wrestling.
So, what kind of environment would you say brings out the best version of you?
Hmm. Anywhere with positive people, people all trying to help you succeed, or people just hoping you succeed, people who you know don't let things bring them down, people who don't bring negative energy into spaces. I'm all about positivity. I'm all about becoming the best version of who you are. Um, and that's kind of the only spaces that I even allow myself in nowadays. You know what I mean? I don't have time to entertain any negativity. That's just my thing. I think I feed off positive energy. That's my big deal.
And what is a quality about yourself that you're proud to have earned?
Hmm. Definitely the humbleness. Um, like I've said it a couple of times throughout this interview, but I don't view myself as above any one person. I think if I can do something, anyone really can do something besides, being Bobby Buffet per se. Um, but that ideology got me my first promotion at outside of wrestling at my job. That same type of attitude allowed me into spaces where I never thought I'd be. That same attitude has made me lifelong friends that I'll never, you know, ever forget. And that same attitude also allows me to pay it forward to other people who either started after me or people who, don't have as many resources as I have. And paying it forward is something really important to me because, again, my former tag team partner, God rest his soul, Jimmy the Jester, I'll shout him out as many times as I can. He was one person who always paid it forward to me. He didn't have to. He was just super, super giving, super nice. And he's one of the only reasons that I've even had a chance to make it this far in the business. So anything I could do to help anyone else, I'll be down to do it.
All right, well, let's get a little bit more fun with these questions. So, if Bobby Buffet had to host a cooking show, what would it be called?
Mm. It'd be called Big Beef with Bobby Buffet. Beef has
Okay.
to be my favorite type of meat. Like by far, steak, burgers. You really can't go wrong. Prime rib, whether it's prime rib or like a $2 steak. There's so many good cuts of beef out there. And I think I want to travel the world seeing how different people make their beef, like their favorite beef dishes, and just try them all. That'd be
Okay.
so cool.
That would be a cool ass show. I would watch it.
You feel me?
What is one of the most ridiculous things that you have ever spent money on that you don't think you will ever regret?
That I don't think I will ever regret.
Yep.
Um, Let me think about this one. I'm thinking big purchases here. Uh, Ridiculous. I would say probably the craziest thing. If anyone probably seen my bill for shoes, they would they would probably like be upset that I haven't spent that money somewhere probably more logical. But I'm big on fashion. And I think that looking the part is just a big part of being the part. So my shoe expenses are through the roof. I spent $800 once on a pair of Jordans
Oh,
just
gee.
because I have big feet. I have size 13 shoes, and they don't make they don't make a lot of those. So I spent a ridiculous amount of money on shoes.
All right. Now, if your life had a signature dish, what would it be?
The dish of pain. No, um, if my life had a signature dish, it'd be a movie star special. Maybe some popcorn, a nice Coke, some candy. The reason why I say that is because I really feel like my life is a movie, playing like different scenes every day. The things I get to see, the things I get to do, the people I meet, all these different things. It really feels like a scene out of a movie sometimes. It's really cool.
All right. And last one, you are stuck on a road trip, booked cross country, and you cannot fly, you're forced to drive. You can only listen to five bands or artists along the way. Who are we listening to?
I feel like I got some unconventional ones in there, and there's some common wrestling bands in there, maybe. All right, so number one, my favorite band right now is Starset. I don't know if you
Okay.
ever heard it. Have you heard of Starset?
Nope.
Man, I gotta put you on some Starset songs. They are really, really um eye-opening, I would say, in the sense to where they tell a story. So that's one. Sleep Token. I love Sleep Token. I would go Bring Me the Horizon. That's three. I would go 3 Days Grace. That's four. And I think after that, I would probably go Breaking Benjamin because their catalog is insane. That's five.
All right. That is not the route I was expecting you to take, but I'm glad it went there.
What were you expecting?
This is gonna sound so bad.
No, no, no. I think you probably expecting rap music, right? I make my own theme song. It is a rap song. I do listen to a lot of rap, don't get me wrong, but I'm a big rock buff. Like I actually used to be in a rock band.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say that's my vibe. Like I kind of can't say I grew up on that music, but I grew up with like the classic rock. Then
Yeah.
like in middle school, I started to find like Black Veil Brides and A Day to Remember
Yeah.
and Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil and all those bands. And now I still listen to A Day to Remember. Like I listen to Falling in Reverse now.
They
Um,
would have been six. Honorable mention. I love Falling in Reverse.
Raw gets an honorable mention. They get thrown in my playlist every now and again.
Nice.
Trying to think of who else off the top of my head. Bring Me the Horizon, I still listen to here and there, but only their older stuff. Anything like
Their older
after
stuff is
Happy
really
Song,
good.
anything after Happy Song, I didn't really mess with.
No, that's valid. That's valid. They definitely had a prime season. Game. Speaking of classic rock, one of the first bands that I would say was a favorite of mine was Boston,
Oh,
and
nice.
they're from the '70s. Like, no, I don't think to this day anybody will ever have the vocal range that Brad Delp had. He had such an angelic voice. You know what I mean? Gone way
Absolutely.
too soon. Brad Delp was the man.
All right. Well, we are transitioning into the last segment of the podcast that I like to call Promo Roulette.
Oh snap!
All right. So, promo roulette is a little segment where I have my guests shoot a promo on a random cartoon character of my choosing, and we talked a little bit about this before we hopped on, and I'm gonna go with somebody from SpongeBob. But I'm not going basic. I'm not picking Plankton or Mr. Krabs or Patrick or Sandy. Nope. I'm throwing you Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. All right. Well, listen here, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I don't care how many residents of Bikini Bottom you saved. I don't care how many superheroes you fought. I don't care how many supervillains you conquered. You have never conquered a plate like Bobby Buffet has. And this Saturday at Bikini Bottom's Thunderdome, I'm going to show each and every one of you why Bobby Buffet is on top of the food chain.
Hell yeah, Bobby.
How'd
That
I
is
do?
everything I got for you, man. That was great. That was great. I've heard worse, I promise.
That
But that was one of the better ones.
was one of the better ones. I'll take
Yeah,
that. Let's
man.
go. Let's go.
Not a lot of people know how to shoot a promo on the fly. It's a very surprising thing when people know how to do it.
That's true. You know what? I think it's just being true to yourself. You know, sometimes you gotta can't be afraid to make a fool out of yourself either, just a little tad bit.
Exactly. And deep down, everybody at some point in their lives wants to talk some shit.
Exactly. I'm a yapper. I can really do it all day.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Bobby. For those of us that are in your area, where can we see you in the next coming weeks? And if you are
Oh,
not in our area, where can we keep up with you on social media?
oh, absolutely. All right. Check out if you guys can T2T. This is Steve Macklin and Deanna Perrazzo's fundraiser brand Battle for the Brave. That's gonna be this Saturday in Rahway, New Jersey. If you go, you'll see me there. If not, you're square. Next week, I'll be at VPW Victory Pro Wrestling in Bayshore, New York. That'll be super fun. Battle in Bayshore 4. It's one of the biggest shows of the year, and we're gonna go crazy there. And later this month, Pro Wrestling Junkies making its way back to my area, Richfield Park, New Jersey, at the Mecca, the world famous Mecca. I've had some crazy matches in there, and I can't wait to see what Pro Wrestling Junkie got in store next. You feel me? Oh,
Absolutely. And where can we
always.
find you on social media if you are not in our area, Bobby?
Absolutely. You can follow me everywhere. This is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at the real Bobby Buffet.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Bobby. This rounds off the four guests of the day, and we will be coming right back at you next week with another three guests, and we are going all over the place next week. Next
Mm.
week, we will be live. I'm trying to remember time zones because I know she and I are in different time zones, but I believe we agreed to 12:30. Yeah, okay, there we go. It's right on there. We will be back
Nice.
with Tori Fox at 12:30 p.m. next week, and we are going to another friend across the pond. We're going to Tim Lee over in the UK. That will be live at 2:30 next week, or if you are in the UK, it'll be 7:30 at night for you guys. And rounding off the guest announcements for next week is none other than Deathmatch Jesus Dmitry Alexandrov. Super excited to have him on. But that is all we got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again to Bobby for joining us, and we will catch you next week.